And it's suing him for $100 million because of Shedeur Sanders falling to the 5th round of NFL draft.
The NFL, a league built on tradition, power, and billions of dollars. But what if one rookie, a 5th-round pick, dared to challenge that entire structure? What if his contract wasn't just a deal, but a declaration of war against the old guard, leading to legal threats, furious owners, and a rumored $250 million empire built outside the league's iron grip? Shedeur Sanders' journey to the NFL was anything but conventional, and what unfolded after his name was called would send shockwaves through professional sports, forever altering the game for every athlete who followed. This isn't just about football. It's about the groundbreaking deal that changed everything. When Shedeur Sanders signed his rookie contract with the Cleveland Browns, it looked like a routine transaction. A 5th-round pick, 144th overall, getting a standard 4-year deal worth $4.65 million. But buried within that seemingly modest agreement was a revolutionary clause that would send shockwaves through the NFL establishment, threatening to reshake how professional athletes negotiate their deals forever. Sanders hadn't just signed a contract, he'd secured a prime equity clause, a provision that transformed him from a mere player into a business partner. This unprecedented arrangement grants Sanders a percentage of all revenue generated from merchandise, sponsorships, and promotions tied to his name, image, and likeness. While the exact figure remains a secret, estimates suggest 5 to 6%, effectively flipping traditional salary structures on their head. It was a move so bold it sparked legal threats and immediate pushback from a league notoriously resistant to change.
Shedeur Sanders has a prime equity clause. The prime equity clause gives Sanders a percentage of all revenue generated from merchandise, sponsorships, and promotion tied to his name, image, and likeness.
What makes Sanders' contract truly staggering isn't the base salary. It's the equity clause that's already paying dividends far beyond what any typical rookie could dream of. Consider this. While Caleb Williams, the 1st overall pick, signed a $39.4 million contract, Sanders' rookie jersey sales have reportedly hit an astonishing $250 million. That's $14 million in commission for Shedeur, which eclipses not just his entire 4-year base salary, but the first-year earnings of most veteran quarterbacks. The brilliance of this clause lies in its legal ingenuity. Rather than circumventing the NFL salary cap, it's structured as a revenue-sharing agreement, treated as business income instead of player salary, keeping it compliant with current collective bargaining rules. This clause encompasses everything: jersey sales, apparel, slogans, and digital content tied to his brand, creating multiple revenue streams that benefit both Sanders and the Browns. He's not just a cost on the salary cap, he's a profit center. But that wasn't the only unprecedented aspect of his deal. Perhaps the most fascinating element extends beyond mere financial compensation. Sanders secured full ownership of all his personal media content in digital platforms, including his Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch channels. This level of media control is virtually unheard of in professional sports, where teams usually maintain strict oversight of player content. Traditional NFL contracts often include clauses that give teams significant control over players' social media and public appearances. Sanders' arrangement completely flips that dynamic, allowing him to maintain complete editorial control over his content. Even more remarkably, the contract includes a unique NFL media rights arrangement that allows Deion Sanders Jr., Shedeur's half-brother, to produce behind-the-scenes content, essentially embedding his own media team within the professional structure. This required special approval from NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell himself, a testament to how unprecedented these negotiations were. It means Shedeur can paint his own narrative and let his audience hear his side of the story without the league's filters. And this isn't just about public perception.
Shedeur's contract that he controls his own media. Why? Why would Shedeur want to control his own media? Because then I could paint my own narrative. And then I can let you guys hear my side.
The financial implications deepen when considering the tax structure. The equity clause earnings are treated as business income, meaning Sanders can potentially claim business deductions, though he must also pay self-employment taxes. It's a more complex tax situation than traditional salaries, but one that offers greater long-term financial benefits through business expense deductions and investment opportunities. This innovation flows seamlessly from his college NIL deals. His Nike partnership, potentially worth $5 to $10 million annually, is just one piece of an endorsement empire that includes deals with Beats by Dre, Gatorade, Mercedes-Benz, and Urban Outfitters. These endorsements leveraged his college NIL valuation of approximately $6.5 million annually, creating a smooth transition to professional earning potential. When combined with his equity clause earnings, Sanders' total first-year compensation is estimated between $18 million to $37 million, making him potentially the highest-earning rookie in NFL history despite being a fifth-round pick. This earning potential rivals established veterans and demonstrates how personal branding can now transcend traditional performance metrics in the modern sports landscape. But how did he even get to this point? The historical precedent for Sanders' contract traces back to innovative deals across multiple sports. Michael Jordan's 1984 Nike deal, which included royalty payments from Air Jordan sales, established the template for athletes participating in product revenue. Similarly, Cristiano Ronaldo's Real Madrid contract included image rights clauses worth approximately 20 million euros annually. This dramatic disparity between draft position and earning potential illustrates a fundamental shift in how player value is calculated in the modern NFL. While traditional metrics focus solely on on-field performance and draft stock, Sanders' contract demonstrates how personal branding, social media presence, and cultural influence can create value streams that transcend conventional team structures. This is why they hate Shedeur Sanders. The things he's negotiating have never been done before, pushing back against a league that often prefers players to stay in a position of servitude. Yet this revolutionary deal didn't happen in a vacuum. The circumstances that made Sanders available in the fifth round tell a story just as controversial as his contract itself.
Here's the thing that I heard, I was like, this is interesting. Because there's this maybe collusion angle that goes on with Shedeur Sanders. Like, how does a first-round talent go to the fifth round? And there's really no reference points we have. There's a few out there, but they weren't graded as high, supposedly, as Shedeur.
What transpired before Shedeur's revolutionary contract was one of the most dramatic quarterback slides in recent memory, accompanied by allegations of coordinated resistance that have sparked legal challenges and heated debates about systemic issues within the NFL. Sanders entered the 2025 draft cycle as a projected top 10 pick, with many mock drafts placing him as high as first overall. His college credentials were impressive: a 72.3% completion rate, 4,134 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions in his final season at Colorado, posting a 169.1 passer rating. Yet, despite these elite statistics, Sanders would watch 143 names called before his own. The immediate financial impact was catastrophic. A projected first overall pick could have earned $48.8 million over 4 years. Instead, his fifth-round selection yielded that modest $4.65 million deal, representing a staggering $44 million loss in traditional contract value. This slide ranks among the most dramatic quarterback falls in modern draft history. But what caused such a dramatic fall? The explanations range from legitimate football concerns to more troubling allegations of coordinated resistance. Scouting reports highlighted inconsistent deep ball accuracy, a tendency to hold the ball too long, resulting in 52 sacks in 2023, and questions about adapting from Colorado's simplified offensive system to complex NFL schemes. The 2025 NFL Combine added red flags. While physically impressive, his interviews drew criticism, with reports indicating he came across as overly confident, with some teams perceiving arrogance or entitlement. Anonymous GMs cited his insistence on franchise control, including choosing coaches or schemes, as a significant red flag. And the family dynamic surrounding Sanders added another complicating factor, with Deion Sanders' public statements about Shedeur refusing certain teams alienating some franchises, creating a perception that drafting Shedeur meant dealing with ongoing family interference. But the true bombshells were yet to come.
Because he's cocky, arrogant, then they're going to start and play it. They're going to OJ Glove it, and it's going to turn into some whole different issue. Because a black, confident, arrogant kid that's not liked for no other reason but just because I don't like him.
What transpired before Shedeur's revolutionary contract was one of the most dramatic quarterback slides in recent memory, accompanied by allegations of coordinated resistance that have sparked legal challenges and heated debates about systemic issues within the NFL. Sanders entered the 2025 draft cycle as a projected top 10 pick, with many mock drafts placing him as high as first overall. His college credentials were impressive: a 72.3% completion rate, 4,134 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions in his final season at Colorado, posting a 169.1 passer rating. Yet, despite these elite statistics, Sanders would watch 143 names called before his own. The immediate financial impact was catastrophic. A projected first overall pick could have earned $48.8 million over 4 years. Instead, his fifth-round selection yielded that modest $4.65 million deal, representing a staggering $44 million loss in traditional contract value. This slide ranks among the most dramatic quarterback falls in modern draft history. But what caused such a dramatic fall? The explanations range from legitimate football concerns to more troubling allegations of coordinated resistance. Scouting reports highlighted inconsistent deep ball accuracy, a tendency to hold the ball too long, resulting in 52 sacks in 2023, and questions about adapting from Colorado's simplified offensive system to complex NFL schemes. The 2025 NFL Combine added red flags. While physically impressive, his interviews drew criticism, with reports indicating he came across as overly confident, with some teams perceiving arrogance or entitlement. Anonymous GMs cited his insistence on franchise control, including choosing coaches or schemes, as a significant red flag. And the family dynamic surrounding Sanders added another complicating factor, with Deion Sanders' public statements about Shedeur refusing certain teams alienating some franchises, creating a perception that drafting Shedeur meant dealing with ongoing family interference. But the true bombshells were yet to come.
It's saying,
Hey, big guy. What's going on? How you doing? Hey, look, you doing all right? You gotta let my brother have his way in the league. Yeah, you gotta. I'm worried about your pop. What you worried about him for?
The most explosive allegations surrounding Shedeur's draft slide center on claims of systematic collusion among NFL teams. NFL Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson made perhaps the most serious allegation, claiming on the Rayan and Rodney show that a, quote, very good source informed him the NFL instructed teams not to draft Sanders, to make an example out of him for treating the pre-draft process like a recruitment rather than a job interview. Dickerson even alleged the Browns were initially directed against drafting him. Former NFL MVP Boomer Esiason added fuel to these allegations, stating that multiple owners explicitly ordered teams not to draft Sanders. ESPN's Stephen A. Smith took these claims even further, reporting that owners made it clear they didn't want Sanders, comparing the situation to Kaepernick-level collusion, and suggesting resentment toward Deion Sanders' influence played a significant role. Smith's allegations specifically mentioned text messages and private communications between owners coordinating their resistance. These allegations became so serious that a Colorado Buffaloes fan filed a $100 million lawsuit against the NFL, alleging antitrust violations, racial discrimination, and collusion, causing emotional distress, demanding access to internal communications, and an alleged 61-page arbitration report on collusion against black quarterbacks. While legal experts predict a lawsuit will likely be dismissed as frivolous, it demonstrates the seriousness with which some observers view the allegations. The pre-draft demands reportedly made by Sanders and his team provided additional ammunition for teams seeking reasons to avoid him, including guarantees on playing time, offensive schemes tailored to his style, and even influence over personnel decisions. Most significantly, his insistence on the prime equity clause sparked concerns about future contract negotiations, with teams fearing they were setting a precedent that could fundamentally alter how they structure deals with future players. The perception that Sanders was making first overall pick demands despite questions about his NFL readiness created resistance. Comparisons to past cases of alleged NFL collusion provide important context. The Colin Kaepernick situation in 2017 proved that NFL owners could coordinate to blacklist a player, with Kaepernick's lawsuit ultimately settling for millions after evidence of coordinated resistance emerged. Similarly, Lamar Jackson faced questions about potential collusion during his 2023 free agency, particularly regarding teams' resistance to fully guaranteed contracts.
The racial component of the allegations adds another layer of complexity, with critics pointing to historical patterns of black quarterbacks being undervalued or facing additional scrutiny. Sanders' confident demeanor, combined with his family's high-profile advocacy, may have triggered unconscious biases that affected his draft stock beyond pure football considerations. However, not everyone accepts the collusion narrative. Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated has debunked collusion claims, attributing the slide to legitimate concerns, including poor interviews, family interference, and performance issues. The truth likely lies somewhere between systematic conspiracy and pure coincidence, but the circumstances certainly created the opportunity for Sanders to fall far enough that Cleveland could select him and accommodate his revolutionary contract terms. The irony is staggering. The very factors that caused his draft slide may have ultimately worked in his favor. By falling to the 5th round, he landed with a team willing to negotiate his revolutionary contract terms, potentially earning more in his first year than he would have as a top 10 pick. This outcome suggests that sometimes perceived setbacks can create unexpected opportunities for those willing to think creatively about value creation. But how has the NFL establishment reacted to this unprecedented challenge? The NFL's response to Shedeur Sanders' revolutionary contract has been a masterclass in institutional resistance, revealing the deep-seated tensions between traditional power structures and the emerging reality of player empowerment. What started as one rookie's innovative deal has evolved into a broader battle over the future of professional sports. The most telling indicator of establishment concern came from an unexpected source, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell himself. In a widely circulated video interaction with Deion Sanders, Goodell made a comment that seemed innocuous on the surface, but carried deeper implications about the league's anxiety over Sanders' influence and the precedent his son's contract might set. Goodell expressed worry about your pop, not Shedeur's performance, but about Deion's business acumen and willingness to challenge traditional structures. Cleveland Browns owner Jimmy Haslam's reaction has been particularly telling, reportedly distancing himself from the Sanders pick amid draft backlash. The broader NFL ownership group's concerns center on the potential domino effect of Sanders' contract structure, particularly as it relates to cost inflation and loss of traditional control mechanisms. Anonymous reports indicate some owners absolutely hate the clause for potentially inflating costs and decentralizing control. They fear not just Sanders, but what happens when the next consensus first-round pick demands similar revenue-sharing arrangements.
The resistance extends beyond financial concerns to fundamental questions about media control and narrative management, which have traditionally been jealously guarded by NFL organizations. Sanders' retention of his personal media rights represents a direct challenge to the NFL's tight control over player messaging and content. This media component has proven particularly valuable, allowing him to control his narrative during challenging moments, providing context and perspective that supports his interests rather than the league's preferred messaging. The legal implications have also created significant concern within NFL circles. The NFLPA has been monitoring the clause's implementation, not out of opposition, but to understand how similar arrangements might benefit other players. This attention has created anxiety among team executives about potential grievances, demands for retroactive benefits, or challenges to existing contract structures. Player agents across the league have taken notice, with many reportedly studying the contract structure for application to their own clients. This has created a game-changer mentality that extends beyond individual contracts to fundamental questions about revenue sharing and player compensation structures across the entire league. Make no mistake, yesterday Sanders was a 5th-round pick, but he was never a 5th-round talent. The on-field dynamics have added another layer of complexity. His preseason performance created a mixed narrative that different parties could interpret according to their existing positions on his contract. Sanders' impressive debut against the Carolina Panthers, completing 14 of 23 passes for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns, demonstrated his potential and justified the Browns' investment in his innovative contract. However, his struggles in the final preseason game against the Los Angeles Rams, where he took 5 sacks and completed only 10 of 18 passes for 95 yards with 1 interception, provided ammunition for critics. Former NFL quarterback Robert Griffin III became a vocal defender of Sanders during this period, arguing that the team was setting him up for failure by not providing adequate support.
This created additional media controversy, forcing Cleveland coaches to address conspiracy theories. The international implications of Sanders' contract have also drawn attention from global sports business analysts. His global endorsement potential, leveraged through Nike's international campaigns and his 5.7 million Instagram followers, demonstrates how modern athlete brands transcend traditional geographic boundaries. This global reach amplifies both the value and the threat that Sanders represents to traditional NFL structures, as it creates revenue streams that extend far beyond typical team-controlled markets. This global appeal creates value that traditional contract structures weren't designed to capture, supporting arguments for innovative arrangements like Sanders' equity clause. Looking toward future CBA negotiations, Sanders' contract is expected to become a significant talking point that could reshape the fundamental structure of player compensation. Analysts predict the clause could spark debates about caps on NIL revenue shares or formal definitions of equity clauses. The precedent extends beyond football to other professional sports, with basketball, baseball, and soccer leagues watching the Sanders experiment closely.
Perhaps most significantly, Sanders' contract demonstrates the evolution of athlete empowerment from individual negotiation to systematic change. By successfully implementing revenue sharing tied to personal brand value, Sanders and his team have created a template that other athletes can follow, potentially reshaping professional sports compensation structures across multiple leagues and fundamentally altering the balance of power between athletes and organizations. The NFL's ultimate response to this challenge will likely determine the league's relationship with its players for years to come. Will they choose to embrace these innovations as beneficial for league growth, or resist them as threats to traditional power structures? This battle will reveal much about professional sports' willingness to evolve with changing cultural and economic realities. What are your thoughts on this unprecedented deal and its impact on the NFL? Let us know in the comments below.